What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel, Carnivore Beast. So today I'm going to talk about food intolerances and how the carnivore diet can help you out. So food intolerances and sensitivities are extremely common, and it seems to be coming up on the rise as time goes by. It's estimated to be about 20% of the population of the world has a food intolerance of some kind. So what I'm going to discuss in this video today is sort of the three main food intolerances that are out there. Go through them and just show you examples where I've had issues with them, and sort of talk about how the carnivore diet can help you overcome these intolerances. Now, if you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button, like this video as well, and get it shared with anyone who you think may be interested in this content. So without further ado, let's get to the meat of the video. So the first intolerance I want to talk about today is dairy. So it is estimated that roughly 65% of the world's population has a dairy intolerance or lactose intolerance. So the reason for that being is that we are unable to break down the lactose that enters our stomach with an enzyme called lactase. So if we go back some time, thousands and thousands of years, we were able to produce this enzyme lactase when we were very young and we were having breast milk, and that was enabled to us to get all those nutrients in one sort of liquid as such. So we had this enzyme sort of, looking back, disappeared between the ages of sort of 2 to 5 years old. Now, with the sort of birth of agriculture, we consumed a lot more cow's milk. So our bodies were able to mutate in a way, so to evolve in order to deal with this. Whereas a lot of people haven't been able to do that. They don't have those enzymes, so they struggle to break it down. Now, I've had a experience recently. I thought I'd try a little bit of cheese. What I noticed was that I ended up getting a sort of itchy rash around this area, and I noticed as well that where I had some eczema before, I was itching there again. So it kind of felt like that was kind of exacerbated issues that I had. And a lot of people may have these issues without knowing. So if you suffer from something like eczema or psoriasis or sort of dry skin issues, it could be caused due to your intolerance to dairy. So another compound found within dairy is casein. So coming from a world of heavy lifting, weightlifting, the gym world, a lot of people will know such things as casein protein powders. These are usually taken before bed because they are called a slow releasing sort of protein powder. Now, the reason they're slow releasing is because our stomachs are struggling to break them down. So we don't have those enzymes, digestive enzymes, in order to break them down effectively. Now, the casein that comes from cow's milk tends to be quite high, and we do struggle to break that down. The reasons cows can is because they have the casein in cow's milk is 4 times as much as it is in human sort of milk. So that's why we take that struggle to break it down, and that can cause some gut issues. It could cause you to have bloating, it could cause gas, and it can even cause like diarrhea and constipation as well. Now, another compound within dairy that very common within the sort of gym world is whey proteins. So that's very common within dairy, and it's a lot easier to break down than casein, hence why it's used a lot more commonly within the bodybuilding gym world. However, what whey protein can do is spike the insulin levels and could lead to things sort of like hyperglycemia, and that can cause issues within the gut as well. Can lead to cravings as well, so you crave more food, more bad foods as well, and can also cause mood swings and fatigue as well. So 3 compounds there within dairy that can have an adverse effect to you. Now, What you may say is that, well, dairy is allowed on the carnivore diet. And I would say, yes, you are right there, but you've got to look at how it affects you. So for myself, I noticed that I was having rashes and eczema in certain areas. And I also noticed that I had some stubborn belly fat as well. As soon as I reduced dairy, and if you haven't already seen that video, please check the link above to have a look at why I quit dairy. But the reason I did quit dairy was to try and see whether they had an effect, and they did. So my stomach fat went down quite a lot, quite rapidly, and my eczema disappeared, and I also reduced this sort of rash around my throat area as well. So you got to look at it how you react to it. If you know that you can consume dairy without any issues, then by all means please carry on. But if you do notice that if you have especially sort of skin conditions such as eczema or psoriasis, I would recommend maybe trying at least a month without the dairy and see if it has any effect on you. The next intolerance I'm going to talk about is gluten. Now, gluten is the name given to the proteins found in sort of wheat, barley and rye as well. So it's the protein compound within those sort of things. Now, there are several conditions that relate to gluten that include celiac disease, non-celiac gluten sensitivity, and also wheat allergies as well. So celiac disease involves an immune response, which is why it's classified as an immune disease. So the one thing I say to a lot of people is, if you were in a field and you saw a field of wheat, would you grab it and eat it? And most of the time the answer is no, because it's disgusting. It's gone through such a process in order for us to consume it that you've got to question why we're even consuming it to begin with. So looking at the celiac disease, when people who have a celiac disease are exposed to gluten, the sort of immune system attacks the small intestine and can cause some serious harm sometimes to the digestive system. And wheat allergies are often sort of confused with celiac disease due to sort of similar symptoms. Gluten intolerances aren't as common as lactose intolerances. However, they're still considerable, and roughly around 5 to 13% of the world's population have some form of gluten intolerance. Now, the symptoms of having a gluten intolerance can be bloating, abdominal pain, diarrhea and constipation, headaches, fatigue, joint pain, rashes, depression, anxiety is a big one as well, and also in some cases anemia. So if you are watching this and you feel like you may tick some of those boxes and you are currently consuming wheat within your diet, then maybe consider taking it out for a month and seeing if it improves at all. So I'm not going to sort of teach you to suck eggs here, but sort of like the foods that are high in gluten, and if you do have a gluten sensitivity, ones to avoid are bread, pasta, cereals, beer, unfortunately for some of you out there, baked goods, crackers, and interestingly sauces as well. So dressings, gravies, and quite specifically soy sauce is quite high in gluten. So these are sort of foods to avoid if you are trying to see whether you do have some form of sensitivity. So you're probably asking yourself, okay, what's this got to do with carnivore? Now, as you can imagine, none of these foods are within the carnivore diet. It also can allow your body time, if you go to the carnivore diet, eat in a carnivore way, even if it's for a few months, your body has time to heal, your stomach has time to heal, and then you may be able to slowly have some of these things again. Now, I wouldn't revert back to how you were before, because you'll just be in a perpetual cycle where you're going to be healing, then damaging, healing and damaging. But every now and again, you may be able to have some bread or some pasta and not have any issues because you've allowed your stomach time to heal. Whereas currently, if you are having issues, your stomach is probably so inflamed that every time you consume it, it's not allowing it, it's just having, coming through the system, coming through that leaky gut and causing you some side effects. So the third intolerance I want to discuss this time is not that commonly known like gluten and lactose / dairy, is caffeine. Now, there's going to be a lot of carnivores out there who are not going to like hearing this because I might, even myself, drink coffee. But a lot of people have bad reactions to caffeine. So obviously, with it being a stimulant, it's helped to reduce fatigue and sort of increase alertness as well when you consume it. However, most adults can only really consume about 400 milligrams of caffeine a day without any side effects. Now, that's most adults. So I consume caffeine, I have coffees. Now, I know where my limit is. I know that if I have any more than 3 coffees in a day, I get very anxious, I get jitters, I get a headache, I just don't feel quite right. And everybody's threshold is different. So you need to look at it going, if you have 1 cup of coffee and you feel those things, maybe caffeine isn't right for you and you need to look at decaf options or just stay clear of it completely. However, if you can have 1 or 2 without these side effects coming across, then I would recommend, if it's something you enjoy having, then by all means keep it, but just know where your threshold is. So a caffeine sensitivity is different to a caffeine allergy because caffeine allergy is due to the immune system, whereas the caffeine sensitivity isn't. So people who have hypersensitivity towards caffeine would have these sort of symptoms. So your heartbeat will go up, you can get anxiety, which I mentioned before, which I can get sometimes, jitters, you get insomnia. So with insomnia, if you do drink coffee, try and keep it quite early in the morning. I try not to have any coffee beyond sort of midday, because I noticed that it can affect my sleep that night. It can increase nervousness and also restlessness. So you might find yourself moving around all the time, your legs going, you're tapping things all the time. So if you notice these things once having 3 coffees, then maybe 3 coffees is too much for you and you should stick to 2. So people with the sensitivity to caffeine, as I just alluded to, should minimize their intake by also avoiding foods that hold caffeine, so chocolates, also sodas, Coca-Cola type products. Energy drinks are, I would just say stay clear of them. They're no good for you. If you want something to help boost you, have that black coffee instead, because the caffeine is lower and also as well it's far more natural. The stuff that goes into energy drinks is, some of it can't be pronounced, whereas a coffee is more of a natural substance. Those are the sort of 3 main intolerances that I believe are out there that people have quite an effect with. Dairy, with the skin sort of conditions that can come from it, gluten with a lot with the gut, the damage to the gut that it can do as well, and then caffeine, which can affect you quite mentally. That's the kind of range I wanted to show you, how lots of these different foods can affect you. And there are far more intolerances out there that I haven't touched upon in this video, so please do go out and check those out, because just because I didn't touch upon it in this video doesn't mean that one of those things aren't affect you. So have a quick look into those things. So yeah, I just wanted to sort of share that with you guys. Obviously shared some of my experiences specifically with dairy for me. So please, if you haven't already done so, please hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, please do hit that like button and share with anybody who you think may like it as well. And I'd love to know what you think, whether you've got any intolerances yourself, how it affects you, and how certain foods may affect you. So not necessarily ones I've talked about in this video, but if there are any other sort of intolerances that you suffer with, that you may have tips and advice for people watching this video, please throw that in a comment down below. So once again, thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.